What's up, guys? We are back with PBL Season 7. This is our Week 9 video. We just came off of a pretty big win last week, a very close win against Terra and the Brussels Burmese. We are now very deep in the well, we're not very deep, but we are still kind of in the playoffs race. It wouldn't be completely unheard of for us to make it from here. So hopefully we can get ourselves over the line, but in order to do that, we need to win this week. And this week we are taking on Kite and the Philadelphia Flygons. Kite actually replaced J-Caps a few weeks back, who dropped for reasons. But let's get into the matchup. So we're facing off against a Blacephalon, who has a ridiculous special attack stat of 151. As well as a speed stat of 107, making it pretty fast. Also, its physical attack stat is not to be slept on 127. So a physical set could come, but most likely won't. It only really runs special. It doesn't get that much coverage either, though, which is really nice. It only really gets psychic coverage, I think, as well as maybe one or two other types, but honestly, I don't quite remember. He's got a Toxicity, which is pretty much the same as Blacephalon in the sense that it doesn't get that much coverage. It's got a usable attack stat, but it's pretty fast. This thing hits a fair bit harder, though, with its ability Overdrive, which boosts the power of sound-based moves. This is an ability that I believe should have been added to Pokemon a very long time ago, particularly on Pokemon like Exploud and Chatot. I feel like both of them could have really used this ability. Not necessarily named Overdrive, but oh no, Overdrive is the move. What am I thinking of? Punk Rock, that's the one. Overdrive is his signature move. No, Punk Rock. I feel like a move that could increase the power of sound-based moves would actually have been fantastic a few generations ago. But anyway, we have it now. Electric Poison is a pretty good offensive dual typing. It also gets Boom Burst for coverage, which is quite nice. A very solid neutral physical attack. Normal type attack. Don't know why I said physical. But it does get physical attacks. I think it gets a few of the elemental punches as well as Drain Punch. A physical set like Shift Gear, I think, is the move that boosts your attack and speed. It's not unheard of. Could make an appearance this week, but we will have to wait and see. He's got a Gardevoir, which is honestly one of my favorite Pokemon to use because of its ability Trace, which copies the ability of the opposing Pokemon, making you have it. This makes it a good switch in for Pokemon with Pokemon with abilities that make you immune to types like Levitate or Water Absorb or Sap Sipper, but it's also really fun for a lot of other things. Irrespective, it's a pretty good Scarfer, and it also gets some support, some nice support moves. It gets a lot of coverage as well. Shadow Ball, Focus Blast, Shadow Ball, Focus Blast, Energy Ball, Thunderbolt, Mystical Fire, that kind of stuff. It hits pretty hard with its 125 special attack, but as you can see early on, this is a pretty special oriented team. At least I think it is. He's got a Mungus, which is a really bulky grass and poison type with the ability Regenerator, which means that when you switch out, you get a certain amount of your HP back. This thing is really annoying, particularly with Spore. Spore can be really annoying for my team to deal with. There's not really much I can do about it, but we do have ways around this thing. I'm not even sure if this thing's going to show up, to be honest, but if it does, I would not be surprised at all, and I pray that it doesn't piss me off. He's got a Mantine, which is his bulky water type with water flying. It's got a ridiculous special defense stat of 140, but it can't really take electric type moves due to its 4 times weakness. But I'm not really sure what this thing does, to be honest. It heals itself up with Roost. It toxics people. I think it gets Tailwind, but it really doesn't do that much, I don't think. He's got an Avalugg, which is an insanely bulky physical defensive Pokemon. 117 attack stat, which is pretty good as well. Curse sets are common. It also gets Rapid Spin for hazard control. It can set up its own hazards, I believe, and it hits really hard with Avalanche, which is a Ice type move, a physical Ice type move that I think it doubles in power if you're hit by an attack that turn. considering this thing is insanely slow, then considering this thing is insanely slow, Avalanche is pretty good on it. He's got a Mega Medicham, which is actually really scary. Really scary for me. Base 100 attack with huge power, hits like an absolute truck. It's pretty fast with base 100 speed, and it also gets a fair bit of coverage as well. All of the elemental punches, it gets bullet punch as well, and fake out, both of them for priority. It also gets substitute and a few setup moves like bulk up. I think that's the main one. Point is, this thing is really powerful, hits like a truck, and is brilliant next to Tornadus Therian, which is his next Pokemon. Another regenerator Pokemon, so he's got a kind of a regenerator core going on. This thing is insanely good after DLC, particularly now that it gets Nasty Plot. Already with its pretty good special attack stat and ridiculous speed stat of 121. It gets lots of coverage as well, aside from its flying type stab in Hurricane. It gets Heat Wave, Grass Knot, Gunk Shot, Icy Wind. Those are the main ones. It gets a lot of support as well with Defog, Tailwind, Toxic, but everything gets Toxic, and a few other things. But this thing is a real pain to deal with. It's pretty bulky too, particularly because mono flying or just flying on its own is a pretty solid defensive type, but a pretty solid offensive one too, which is why this Pokemon is so good. He's got a Heracross, which is a really good bug and fighting type, a very offensive Pokemon, physically offensive, can be run Scarf, can run Guts, Flame Orb, could be set up, could bluff Scarf, could be a number of different things, but point is this thing comes, it's going to hit hard on the physical side and show no mercy at all. He's got a Druddigon, which is a really bulky dragon type Pokemon that gets Rough Skin, which punishes contact moves. It sets up rocks and uses glare to paralyze pretty much anything, which is really annoying to deal with. Sandaconda pretty much does the same thing, except it doesn't get Rough Skin and can set up Sandstorm with Sandspit. But if it comes, it's probably going to be Shed Skin to make clear has any status that it gets. Both of them get rocks. Both of them are pretty physically defensive, but can take special hits as well. And both of them could show up. Any of them could show up, but frankly, I'm sort of, sick. I'm sort of lacking motivation at this point, which I did mention in the last video. Anyway, that's what we're facing off against. Looking at his type matchup, he has 0 ghost resists. Hopefully you can see where this is going. He also doesn't have too many ice and rock switch-ins or dragon dark flying switch-ins. I tried to abuse that as best as I could, so let's just get straight into the team builder. We are kicking things off with Fuck Whitney, our Miltank, Milk Drink, Body Slam, EQ, Stealth Rocks. We're running a specially defensive set. This thing completely walls Blacephalon, Toxtricity, and Gardevoir. And Tornadus, I think. Like, if it's special Tornadus, it can kind of wall that thing too. This thing just walls all of them, heals itself back up with Milk Drink and Leftovers, sets up rocks to punish them on the switch-in. But really, this thing puts in a shit ton of work. Against this especially offensive threats. With Blacephalon in particular, this thing comes in on it. It resists, it's immune to its psychic moves, and Thick Fat means that it pretty much resists its fire coverage. Its best way to hit me is like special moves or like Specs Fire Blast or something like that. But with this spread, we can take those Fire Blasts any day of the week. That paired with Zapdos essentially walls his entire team, or almost his entire team. We're running Roost, Defog, Thunderbolt, and Thunder Wave. A bit of special defense as well, so this thing can come in on the Tornadus Therian, but also we're running physical defense for this thing to come in on stuff like Heracross. Can take a hit from Medicham if it needs to, but really this thing is our Tornadus Therian answer. It also goes around and paralyzes shit, which is going to be very useful for us with our next 3 Pokemon. Our debutant, we've had this thing like since the draft, but we have not used it once. It is finally time for Decidueye to come from the shadows and put in work for the squad. We are bringing Spell Tag with Tailwind, Spirit Shackle, Roost, and Sword Stance. This dude has no resist to Spirit Shackle. None. None whatsoever. Spirit Shackle also traps you. So if you're hit with a Spirit Shackle, you cannot escape. One of us will die or I will switch out. But I can run Tailwind. After a Tailwind, we can outspeed, I think, Scarf Blacephalon. I think that's what we're EV'd to outspeed after a Tailwind. If we can get paralysis on a lot of things, we can go for a Swords Dance and we can sweep that way. But this thing can potentially sweep his team. We can set up Tailwind to boost our speed for a bit. If we paralyze shit, we can go for a Swords Dance to clean up. We're bringing Emirates, Roost, Dragon Pulse, Psyshock, Shadow Ball, pretty similar to last week, except Shadow Ball instead. I finally figured out how to use Mega Latios. You just run Dual Stab in a coverage move with Roost. Pretty simple. Excuse me. We are running enough speed to outspeed the Blacephalon. So hopefully we can, assuming that thing isn't scarfed, we can really dent that thing and dent his entire team. Sorry about that noise. If you heard that, I don't know if you did. But we can dent his entire team with this thing. Shadow Ball is a bit of coverage for the Gardevoir, and it hits the Medicham as well. Really just stuff that oh, we're disconnected. Really just stuff that resists my Dual Stab. Yeah, really just stuff that resists my Dual Stab. Roost for recovery, just to keep ourselves alive. That's pretty much the gist of it. This thing's going to hit like an absolute truck. He doesn't have that much to deal with it, to be honest. He's got Scarf Mons to revenge kill it, but that's really it. We're bringing Scarf Tongue, Life Orb Greninja once again. We're bringing this thing like almost every week. I really don't care. It's good. It's really good. Excuse me. We're running Surf, Ice Beam, Extra Sensory, and HP Electric. Enough speed to outspeed the Tornadus Therian and Rest in Special Attack. Hidden Power Electric is for the Mantine. Extra Sensory is for the Heracross. Surf plus Ice Beam hits everything else pretty hard. So offensively, we have a really good matchup here between these three Pokemon, and hopefully we can really capitalize on that and just pressure him hard. And last but not least, we're running the other debutante, Betty Boop, the Aromatisse, Wish, Protect, Moonblast, Toxic. This thing also hard walls his physical Pokemon. It's our best switch into Mega Medicham as well, although we do have to watch out for Fake Out. I don't think it'll run High Jump Kick on Mega Medicham though, because we do have a Ghost type, although we haven't brought that Ghost type to a single game, so we might not think we run it this time. Although we are clearly running it this time. Wish Protect, it's really just here to heal up the team, keep me alive. Wish going into Pokemon like the Decidueye or Latios or Greninja can really help keep them alive too. So hopefully we can really capitalize on that. And put in the work with Aromatisse and Decidueye. I'm really looking forward to using both of them, considering they're the only two Pokemon left on my team that I haven't brought to a game yet. And with 2 weeks left and little fucks to give, also decent matchups for both of them, I figured why the fuck not bring them both. So this is what we are brocking with for our second last, assuming we don't make playoffs, our second last battle of PBL Season 7. I'm really looking forward to this, considering we actually have a decent chance of winning, and if we do, we could potentially be in the running for a playoff spot depending on how other teams finish. If we do have a chance to make it, then we might actually try in week 10. If we don't, we are just going to fuck around and have a bit of fun. Considering we are also playing Patapic, who is the owner of the server, in our last week. Bit of a spoiler there. Sorry that this video is coming out late. I have to get my laptop repaired this weekend. If it does come out late, then I'm sorry. I'm still not sure what the schedule is at the moment, but if this does come out late, I have to get my laptop repaired this weekend, which meant I have to reschedule with Kite and get an extension. So there was a Neo Y video in its place, which you would have seen. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, but after this video comes, the Neo Y and this are really just trading places. So everything's just going to go back to normal after this is out. So that is the team we're rocking with, and without any further ado, let's get into the battle. Welcome back, everyone, to our to the battle for PBL Season 7, Week 9. We are taking on Kite once again. I'm just sending the challenge now, so let's jump straight into it. We've got our matchup here. We've got the calcs ready to go, and it looks like we're in the battle. So he brought the Sandaconda, Tornadus, Therian, Mega Medicham, Amoonguss, Drudigon, and Toxtricity. Okay. A lot of good things there. Sandaconda and Drudigon is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. I'm just pinging live battles. Okay. So Sandaconda plus Drudigon is kind of annoying, but I'm pretty sure we can break through it with Greninja. In terms of leads, I'm thinking Tornadus or Medicham are very likely. Amoonguss could lead as well, but I'm pretty sure it's between Torn and Medicham. I think a pretty safe lead for me would probably be Betty Boop. If he leads Toxtricity, chances are it's choiced. So I think I'm going to lead Betty. I think I'm going to lead Betty Boop. It's only bad if he leads Toxtricity. Okay, so we led with Drudigon, which is fantastic. We can just go straight for a... what would he do? What would he do? What would he go into? He'd be expecting a Moonblast, so he'd probably go into Toxtricity or Amoonguss. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wish... Actually, no, I'm going to go straight for the offense. I'm going to go for the Moonblast and see what he does. If he goes into Toxtricity... Oh, he goes straight for the Gunk Shot. Okay. So he is offensive. That's cool. I'm going to protect to get a bit of HP back and then figure out what we're going to do. Jesus Christ, that did so much. Okay. So what do we do here? I think... Okay, so he's clearly offensive, probably Sheer Force. So what I think we do is we go into... We could go into Zapdos. Zapdos can take whatever hit fairly well. So I think let's see. Let's see the damage. So Aromatisse versus Drudigon. Gunk Shot. Gunk Shot did like 90%. So it's probably max attack, Sheer Force, Life Orb. Yeah, so something like that. Probably Jolly. So, how well are we taking that with Zapdos? Fairly well. So I think that's what we're going to do. I think we go into Zapdos here. Instead he goes for the Glare. That's awesome. Let's just go for a Thunderbolt. Okay, so he just goes into the Sandaconda, which is alright. Now I think we can go into Decidueye. Goes for the Coil. Okay, I'm going to go for a Swords Dance. I don't want to let this thing set up on me, but he doesn't know my set. He doesn't know my set, so I'm going to go for a Spirit Shackle. I could be special, for all he knows. I'm going to go for a Spirit Shackle. At least that way we trap him in, so we can't really... I don't know what coverage does Sandaconda get. Okay. What does Sandaconda get? Coil. Does he get anything that can hit me? He gets Poison Tail. That's really it. Hurricane as well. Okay, so we trap in the Amoonguss, which is quite nice, but he's probably going to go for a Sludge Bomb or something like that. I don't think he goes for a... Yeah, I think he just goes for a Sludge Bomb or something. I'm going to go into Latios. Goes for the Stun Spore. Okay, that's kind of annoying. We can Psyshock here, though. We can really dent his team. We can really dent his team here. Psyshock just generally does pretty big damage to whatever's going to come in. So Drudigon's coming in and goes down to Psyshock. Okay, fantastic. That thing was problematic. I'm glad we got rid of that. Okay, Medicham's coming in. Our switch-in is usually Aromatisse, but unfortunately Aromatisse is pretty much gone. How much... Latios is still got some use to take on the Amoonguss. Since it's paralyzed, it can't get poisoned or put to sleep. So we definitely want to preserve this thing. I think we switch into Aromatisse. Okay, he goes for the substitute. So I think we go for a Moonblast here. Yeah, we'll go for a Moonblast. We got to break the sub. We can't afford it to let him set up on me. Okay, good to know that he's substitute. That'll be useful. So he's probably sub bulk up. He's Ice Punch. Gets the crit. I don't think the crit mattered though. But we can go into Zapdos here. Or how well is Decidueye taking an Ice Punch? From Medicham Mega. Ice Punch kills. Okay, what about Zapdos? Ice Punch does a lot, but doesn't kill, and we can break Substitute. Actually, I want to see if that Ice Punch did matter on Aromatisse. Okay, what we can do is we can go into Miltank and then double into the Decidueye. So I think that's what we're going to do. We can go Miltank and then double. Okay, this is actually a problem. Okay, so he's not high jump kick, which is cool. If he wants to go for an Ice Punch, that's okay. I think I'm fine with letting Decidueye go down here, but I'm really not sure. Do I want to make him overpredict? Because he could just go for an Ice Punch, and I can go into Miltank. Yeah, I think I'm going to go back into Miltank. Okay, and then what I can do is I can... How much do I need Miltank? I mean, he didn't bring Blacephalon, but then what do I do to Toxtricity? If he's Scarf Toxtricity, I'm in a bit of a tough situation. Can I afford to... I'm making a lot of switches. I think I'm going to go for a Body Slam. Okay, so he just goes for the Drain Punch and knocks me out. Oh my god, I think I might lose to this thing. I got to go into Zapdos and I got a Thunderbolt. I need to break the sub so that I can go into Greninja. I need to break the sub. I really need to break the sub here. Okay, Ice Punch, don't freeze. Okay. And now I think I go into Greninja. Or he could sub again. We can't let him sub again, so I'm going to go for another Thunderbolt. Yeah. Okay. Now I think I go into Greninja. On the Ice Punch. Now I can Surf. Okay, so he goes into a Amoonguss. Surf was a crit. That's pretty big. But we can calc that damage. Okay, so a crit, Surf did about 35%. So he's probably not specially defensive. Yeah, I don't think he's specially defensive. So Ice Beam is most likely... Ice Beam can kill, but I think I'm going to play it safe and go into Latios. And we can go for a Psyshock. Okay. Okay, that Medicham is annoying, but we can't let it get up a substitute, otherwise it really dents my team. As you can see, pretty much almost my entire defensive core is gone, but Decidueye can still put in work, so we're definitely going to hold on to it. Now I think I go for the Dragon Pulse. He has Outrage. Oh, okay. I think I go into Decidueye now. And I can Roost Up. Or I can kill with a Spirit... No, I gotta Roost Up. I gotta Roost Up. Good thing I didn't go into... Okay, good thing I didn't go into Zapdos. Let's keep roosting up. Now I can probably go for a Spirit Shackle. Okay, Okay, I think Decidueye might have to go down to whatever comes in. Medichamp's coming in. We don't want to let it get up a sub, so we're going to go for another Spirit Shackle. Okay, he just kills us off with an Ice Punch. That's fine. We can go into Greninja now and click Surf. Okay, he goes into Torn. That's offensive. We can't really switch into anything though, so if he's Scarf... Okay, so he's not Scarf and we kill with Ice Beam. Okay, this is good. Toxtricity is scary though. It's super scary. But we do have extra sensory for it. Which can potentially kill, but it can't right now. I think we let Latios go down and then pray that Zapdos can take a hit. I think that's our play. I really think that's our best play. Okay, so he goes for the Boom Burst, so we might be able to live that. Okay, we get the Roost off. Okay. This is okay. This isn't too bad. Oh, he's sub as well. Okay. T-Bolt breaks through sub, which is fantastic. So we can put this thing in range for Greninja to kill. But I think we need this thing around to deal with Amoonguss. Yeah, we need Zapdos around to deal with Amoonguss. This is intense. We've got more Roosts than he's got Boom Bursts though, which is fantastic for us. But I still think Overdrive does more. Okay, now we can go for a Thunderbolt, which doesn't break sub this time. So I think I gotta go for it again. And then, okay, then we go down. Now we can go for the extra sensory. Oh, come on. That's game. That's game, I think. Yeah, it's definitely game. At least we knock out the Toxtricity. It comes down to a 2-0, but it's alright. Oh well. I guess we're out of the playoffs race. That's okay. I don't really care. We've got one battle left against Patapik. I'm really just gonna I'm just gonna have some fun in that last game. Whatever happens, happens, and I will, I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Pokemon related content, and stay tuned for the last video for PBL Season 7 in about a week's time. See you guys.